What up, nation? Welcome to another edition of the Wise Tech MLB DFS Wise Stream. CK013 here. You can find me on Twitter at CK_013, and I'm joined once again, 2 times in one day, by the GOAT, the true OG, Paulie D, who you can find on Twitter at Paulie with 8 Ds. Paulie, we kicked off the first real NBA slate of the restart, if you will, or the resumption of the 2020 season. Felt good to get out there. You wrote an awesome article over at wisetech.com for those who are subscribed with the NBA core plays. Holla, all the content looked great. It's groovy, now it's Sweat City, and we're about to double the sweat with some MLB action. How you doing, bro?
Good, man. Good. It's Friday. This is my last chunk of work for the weekend, and then it's just all uphill from there.
All
Party
Sweat City. It's a good way to end the week. I say end the week because this is the last show we have until Monday. We only do the streams Monday through Friday for MLB and NBA, but we will continue to cover the content at wisetech.com for those who are subscribed. So make sure, if you want to get that goodness in tomorrow, Sunday, you go over there and check it out. But for us, I mean, listen, we love doing the streams. We love talking to the nation. But on the weekends, a little bit of a change of pace. We have a little bit more time to kind of dig in on things and actually enjoy the sweats once in a while. And on a day like today, you don't even enjoy the sweat. It's just you're just grinding, doing your thing. And then, at the end of the day, you put your head up and you see where you stand. So we'll have to see how it goes. For sure.
Indeed.
But anyway, we'll go ahead and get into it, man. This should be it's a big slate. I don't know about you, but there wasn't a ton that I liked, even though it was a big slate. So curious to hear your thoughts. Obviously, we haven't spoken. It's just been madness all day for both of us. So I'm very, very curious to see what you're looking to get into today. For me, for you, the plays. Let's start off with some pitching, man. We know Luis Castillo is going to be crazy chalk on DraftKings. On FanDuel, maybe not so much because there are other options. He's the most expensive pitcher on FanDuel but on DraftKings at 8K against a team he just dominated. Kind of seemed like DraftKings made a mistake, or maybe they're just stacking up some chalk. I don't know. Curious to hear your thoughts in general. Talk to me about the pitchers you're looking at today.
I mean, there's a couple things on the high end I think you could consider, like the Biebs dominated Minnesota yesterday. I think Clevenger's slightly better than Bieber, but they got similar dominating, high whiff type stuff. And, you could go back that route. Blake Snell, they seem to have the training wheels on, so I don't know if I want to go up there and spend up on him. But it is against Baltimore, so I could get that. But I guess there's 2 guys outside of Castillo up top there that I've got a little bit of interest in. Mike Minor against San Fran, streaming against San Fran, although they did get 2 bats back into their lineup, and they're maybe not as terrible as they were the first 2 days of the season, but it's still in that park. And Mike Minor was really awesome last year, and he pitched in an extreme hitter's park, and he was still pretty dominant. Left-handed, most of the good bats on the Giants are left-handed, so he's going to have the platoon advantage against most of their key hitters. I think he's worth a look at 9-2. And then Lance McCullers, had some big strikeout stuff. Mike Trout is on paternity leave, so you take his bat out of that Angels lineup. I rode Marco Gonzalez at under 1% yesterday to like 25 DK points in second place in the $44, which was nice. And, Lance McCullers is certainly a much better pitcher with some, much higher strikeout upside. So those are the only 2 guys outside of Castillo that I've got interest in above Luis Castillo.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think a couple of the guys are interested, whether you're looking to pair them with Castillo or looking to use them as pivots off of Castillo, hoping to get lower ownership. Clevenger was the first guy I looked at. I agree. The Twins are a team I don't typically like to pick on, but we saw Bieber destroy them yesterday. I think Clevenger is very good, probably close to Bieber's caliber, and some people probably argue that he's better. And then, like you said, McCullers, man, he has the I guess the lower resistance path, right? He's got a pretty solid matchup with no Mike Trout. That Angels team just looks a little bit different and doesn't look as threatening. So I'm good with that. As far as the other spend ups, to me, I think I would rather just go to Castillo if I was looking at the other ones. So it's really those 3 guys in terms of spend ups that I'm looking at. Curious to hear your thoughts on some of the other options. Again, with a 12-game slate, we have a lot of options. It's just a matter of which guys you actually like. So, talk to me a little bit more in depth about Castillo, what your plans are for him in general, and then talk to me about some of the other mid-tier plays.
So I'm building 3 teams, and I'm still kind of in a debate about whether to use him in 2 or just 1. But as a whole, I like a lot of expensive stacks. So I'm like, it's either going to be Castillo and a cheap guy, or I'm pivoting off of Castillo to one of those 2 I mentioned and a cheap guy, or just all cheap guys so that I can like really load up on bats. And there's not a ton of guys that like I have like a glowing endorsement for that are cheaper than Castillo, but I just think that a guy like Logan Webb against Texas who hasn't looked good in that ballpark. I'm sorry, Randy Dobnak of Minnesota against Cleveland. He's got good talent. He only went 4 innings. Hopefully he can get a little more. Cleveland has not looked that great offensively. You got Trevor Williams against the Cubs, Sean Newcomb against the Mets. Like, none of these you're excited about using. Dallas Keuchel against the Royals. Alex Cobb at 4K against Tampa. Chris Bubik of Kansas City is apparently like their next best prospect after the kid who pitched yesterday, and he looked really good. I don't really like particularly picking on the White Sox very much, but they do strike out a lot still, and this kid supposedly has some strikeout talent, and he is a lefty. So like I said, I don't have a glowing endorsement for any of these guys, but Logan Webb, I find myself landing on quite a bit in that park. The Rangers strike out, like his price tag, and pair him with like a Luis Castillo. It's 14.1K. Beautiful. I can get a lot of bats that way, and that's kind of where I'm at. It's like Castillo and a cheap guy like Logan Webb, but Trevor Williams, Dallas Keuchel, or the really, really cheap guys at 4K like Bubik or Alex Cobb, or on one of my teams kind of pivot to Lance McCullers or Mike Minor with, again, those cheap guys so I can load up on bats. That's how I'm approaching it.
It's kind of scary that we haven't talked at all about baseball, and we're pretty much on the same page. The reason I think it's scary is because I'm hoping that everybody doesn't do the same things that we're trying to do. I know I personally, aside from Castillo, I haven't looked too much into the ownership side, but that's literally the exact method that I'm looking to do. Yeah, I'll work in some guys we talked about like Clevenger, McCullers, but my main plan is to go with Castillo on DraftKings at 8K and to pair him with that Royals pitcher. What's his name? Bubik. Bubik hair. Yeah. So yeah, I'm with you, bro. That's my plan as well. Listen, he's going straight from single A to the pros. He's only had 2 or 3, maybe I think 2 seasons even in the minor league system. But the strikeout numbers he showed were pretty impressive, especially this last year. He got his walk rate down. Listen, it's a big jump, but we don't have good hitting weather at Kansas City. We know Kansas City is a very big park in general. It typically plays as a pitcher's park when there isn't extra humidity and heat to blow things out. So I'm with you, man. That was the same game plan I was kind of looking into. And the reason is because the bats that I want are expensive, and I'm curious to see if we're on the same page with the bats we want to get. I'm assuming we are relative because we're both looking to spend up. There's a few teams that are more expensive than others, and we're going to need that money for. But yeah, I have the same exact plan. Even if you wanted to, skip over and pivot off of him if you're worried about him, you got Alex Cobb against his old team that we have weather, and it's a shitty park. Cobb did fucking shell blank the Red Sox, which was pretty wild in Boston. But I prefer to take my chance. I know what Cobb is. I'd prefer to just close my eyes, click on this Bubik guy, whatever, and just say roll the dice and let's roll. So I'm with you, man. That was really my plan too, is to go with one of those 3 guys, McCullers, Clevenger, mostly Castillo, and pair him with that 4K pitcher on DraftKings. And on FanDuel, I'm sticking with the first guys we talked about. You can always kind of make it work, right? Like the pricing over there is typically a little softer. You can kind of always find ways around to get the pitcher you want. But on DraftKings, I am looking to pitch Bubik here. With that said, let's get into some of the bets, Paulie. Talk to me about some of the stacks you're trying to save all this money for.
So the Yankees, I mean, they're just doing it right now. Home runs. Stanton's hot. Judge hit the walk off yesterday. If it wasn't a walk off, the game winner. Um, Voit hit a grand slam. They had the rain delay. They're loaded offensively. They're taking on this scrub from Boston, Weber, and their bad bullpen. It just, you know, they're projected for 6 runs, and I think they'll get way more than that. So I like them. I really like the teams in Coors. Colorado's been hitting the ball well in some bad environment against some tough pitching. And now they're going to get a not so good pitcher from San Diego in Coors in the middle of the summer. I'm going to jump on it. And I don't anticipate them being very popular because they're so expensive. And what I'm seeing on ownership is, mostly the expensive guys. So I don't think the rest of the field is going to be able to get to those bats. And I'm just kind of hoping we get one of those explosive Coors games. I mean, San Diego, Garrett Richards, he's decent, but, nothing I'm scared of. They do have a decent bullpen, but again, it's Coors, and if they're getting lit up, they're not going to bring in some of those guys that are good. And then John Gray is a guy I do respect and have even used in certain spots in Coors. He can strike guys out. But I don't envision him going that far. This San Diego team has been really impressive with the bats. And once you get past him, this Rockies bullpen's been completely depleted, and it's pretty terrible. And like those offenses quite a bit. It's probably the only three I really focus on, with the exception of Oakland. I think Taijuan Walker is just horrendous. I don't think, he'll be pitching very long in the majors this year. I think he'll, get beat up a few more times and get sent back down. And Oakland is a team that can hit the ball well. So they're on the road. So you're going to get all 9 at bats, and they'll be extremely low owned. So I have a little bit of that too, but that's it. I know it's like a big slate. Wish I had more, but that's kind of where I'm at.
Yep, exactly what I figured. See, here's the scary part. So the Yankees, the Padres, all that stuff, that was like obvious, right? They're expensive, so I figured you were gonna like them also. Oakland was the other team that wasn't, that was kind of like, I think it'll be low owned that I like. They're my favorite low owned stack, and that's it. The Padres, the one other team that I'll mention that you didn't really mention, and I like them, but not as much as the other teams, is the Braves. Against Rick Porcello at home in Atlanta, because I think Porcello is just the drizzling shits. And I have a kind of reverse bias as a Met fan. I just despise Porcello. I can't stand the fact that we let Wheeler go.
J-Hap for me.
What's that? Yeah, J-Hap for you, exactly. Except I honestly think J-Hap is better. I think that's what I think of Porcello. I think he's that bad. But anyway, I do like the Braves a little bit, but my favorite stack is the Padres. John Gray, and the main reason, not only for number one, they're familiar with him, right? They've seen John Gray a ton. Number two, John Gray in his last start, not only did he not do so great, but in his last start, his velocity was down almost 3 miles an hour. So I don't think he's quite ready. And now he's going into Coors in this environment against a Padres team that kind of came out swinging. And if you look at this Padres lineup, man, you got Fernando Tatis. They went and got that Grisham kid that was on Milwaukee. You got Machado, Myers. They got some hitters, and you couple that Oakland fits really well with San Diego on both sites in terms of pricing. So I'm with you 100%, man. I like the idea of grabbing somewhat mid-tier to high pitcher, getting a low, grabbing that 4K guy, and then just going to war with these big stacks. So the Yankees, I do like. The Padres, I like. The Braves and Oakland, those are probably my 4 main ones. But the Oakland A's and the San Diego Padres are probably really my 2 favorite stacks. And obviously, I'm cool with the Rockies. Like, we just add them to the list. But I do like the Padres more, and I like Oakland as like a low-owned team. I agree with you on Walker, man. He's not good. He doesn't throw any junk. He pretty much just throws all different types of fastballs. He throws a 4-seam. He throws a splitter. He throws a little bit of a sinker. But it's all pretty much stuff that this Oakland team can hit, and this Oakland team is a big fly ball hitting team in general. So I'm with you, man. It's funny. I was kind of on the same page from Gate. And, like, we're 20 minutes in the show. We've pretty much addressed most of the things we like. But, at this point, we'll go ahead and get into some questions. We'll do some Dong Watch, all that good stuff. But that's kind of what I had the feeling. I said it's a huge slate, but there's really only a few things I like. And it's really narrow. It's really, really narrow. With that said, Paulie, I know you're coming off a pretty good day yesterday. let's talk about, okay, so some of these questions we kind of already answered. We'll start with Aaron Lambert. He asked about the Padres stack, and we both just kind of went on a little rant about them. So, yes, we like them. Ryan Elvis says, Cobb, GPP, risky, but I like it. Definitely risky. Clint Petrikis, one of our boys, Shockey, says Walker. I'm hoping you mean attack Walker. Shockey. I'm hoping Shockey. I'm hoping. Now he did say to start the show that he came in here just to hassle you. He said he came in here to hassle Paulie, so I'm hoping that it's just troll mode. Is this no? I mean, it is what it is. Joey likes Keuchel. Any interest in Keuchel today?
Yeah, I don't mind him. Cheap enough that he doesn't kill you, and it's not like a guy that's going to get you a lot of strikeouts. But when he's on, he doesn't usually give up a ton of damage. And in a new home, he should be out trying to impress and whatnot. I'm cool with it. If he gets me a 15, I'm thrilled.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. I don't know how much I actually end up with because I'm so dead set on that 4K pitcher, and he's so close on DraftKings. He's so close to Castillo. I'm just gonna find a way to get to Castillo. But I'm with you. I don't mind it, man. The Royals last year, as you mentioned, I think it was the last show or the show before, you mentioned that the Royals struggled last year against lefties, which is definitely true. We have a big ballpark. The same reason we're willing to pitch this, this Bubic guy. Part of it is the park, and Keuchel is on the other end of that, so I'm definitely okay with that. Real quick, there is one guy that I forgot to mention at pitcher, and I'm glad Tony A. Shout out to Tony A. in the chat. He says Alex Cobb revenge game, but that's not what I'm talking about. Tony A. says Darvish 4% wind blowing in. I forgot to mention Darvish. I do think this is actually a really good Darvish spot. We do have winds blowing in Chicago, which we know it makes a big difference, and this is the Pirates team that we know is they don't necessarily strike out as much as we'd like, but we know they're not good. And we recently saw a pitcher who struggled in his first game, and his second game came up against the Pirates, and I think it was Woodruff. Woodruff just dominated these guys. So I wrote them in the article, but I did forget to kind of mention them when I was going through the pitchers. But I do think Darvish is going to be very low owned today, and I do actually like Darvish, especially on FanDuel where he's 9 something. I think he's 9K or something like that. I like him even more over there, and you don't have to worry about whip or none of that against the Pirates. But I did forget to mention, do you have any interest in Darvish today?
He's all right. I just don't have the money to get up there. Yeah. But I would not tell you not to use him by any means. Right. I just, I don't think I'm going to end up with anybody more than the Rangers pitcher.
Right. Is it Minor?
Yeah.
Minor. Let's see today. Tony A says Bubic is a single A pitcher. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. A 4K single A pitcher. And listen, we respect the White Sox. We actually like the White Sox as an offense. This comes down to just, if this guy can get us an 8, 9, 10, and our bats do the dirty for us, and our SP1 does what he has to do, that's really all we're looking for. On FanDuel, he's not even in the player pool, so you don't have to worry about that. You're just going to stick with the guys we mentioned above, the Castillos, the Darvishes, the McCullers, whoever else we mentioned. But yeah, let's see. This is a good one here. Ryan, what is this? Ryan Evans says, Gray better at home, though the Padres look tough thus far. Yes. Gray normally better at home. Again, his velocity's been down, though, and the Padres have looked really good. This is their first real hitter's park that they get an opportunity to go into. Joey likes the Braves also. Legalize says, waiting for Paulie D to break out the yogurt and cigarette combo. That's more of a lunchtime combination thing. This is more like a dinner time. This is when Paulie breaks out the steak. Anthony Vaughn, who's the number 1 pitcher on FanDuel?
Fandeezy. Let me take a look at them prices.
Fandeezius Maximus.
MLB scheme. What? I mean, man. Are you building 3 teams?
I'm doing 1 main team, and I'm doing the 20 entry maxes on 25 entry max on FanDuel, 20 entry max on DraftKings, but one main team.
Man, I like Mike Minor quite a bit. He's kind of in that mid-range there. He's not 10-1 like Castillo. He's 8-7. Um, yeah, I would say him or Logan Webb.
Yeah, for FanDuel, I'd probably say Darvish. I mentioned his 9K whatever price tag. I like Castillo still, but Castillo is significantly more expensive. He's the most expensive pitcher on FanDuel actually, despite being listed at basically a mediocre price pitcher on DraftKings. But yeah, for me, it's probably Darvish on FanDuel. Um, Oh, what's the KC? Oh, okay. Ryan, I see your question about the KC pitcher's name. I had already mentioned it. He's not in the FanDuel player pool. So if you're looking for him on FanDuel, he's not there. Let me see. Corey Randall says, any info on the Yankees pitcher? This is Montgomery. This is up your alley, man. I know you know Montgomery quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, he's pitched for us a bunch. He's actually done really well when he's pitched for us. Not like overbearing strikeout stuff, but keep the ball down. Had always done well and then dealt with injuries or whatever. He's all right. I don't think they're gonna let him pitch very deep. That's why his price tag is low and his ownership's even lower. But this kid, decent from what I've seen, but I don't think I'd go there today.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's just more of a ceiling issue for me. The Red Sox, don't get me wrong, I'm not as nearly as afraid of the Red Sox as we were in seasons past. But this is still a rivalry game. I agree with you that I don't think Montgomery's going to have the longest leash. The Yankees have always trusted their bullpen, and even and with their young guys, they've especially been cautious with their young pitchers, not wanting to overwork them or get them injured. I think Montgomery's a decent pitcher, I really do, and like you said, he's pitched before in the big leagues, and he's done fairly well for the most part. So. If you want to roll the dice on DraftKings as an SP2 because you don't want to go all the way down and you want to roll like two mid-tier guys, you could take that shot. I personally, and I think Paulie also think that there are some better options to roll with, but we have definitely seen him. Tony A says, any low-owned stacks that we like for GPPs?
Any low-owned stack that we like for GPPs?
I mean,
outside of Oakland, you talked about the Braves, and I do agree with that one as well.
Yeah. For me, it's Atlanta too, but like Paulie, Oakland would be my favorite like low owned stack, and I do expect him to be low owned. We did just hear Chris Davis is not in the lineup, which kind of blows. I mean, he's been bad, but it just sucks because we just like that guy, so that sucks. But still, Oakland, and like Paulie said, the Braves. Clint Petrika is dropping a little bit of knowledge in the chat. It says Pirates have the fourth highest strikeout rate at 27.9% and the seventh lowest ISO, 119, against righties so far. Holla for $1.
Full size.
Legalize says, sorry I showed up late, but do y'all like the Cincinnati bats? Any interest in Cincinnati in Detroit against Turnbull?
They're red fucking hot, so I wouldn't talk you off of them. But I do respect Turnbull a little bit, and I'm just kind of staying away from the bats in this game. But the Reds bats are awesome. They are going to be a decent team this year, but just not today for me.
Yeah, it's funny. This is literally a rematch. Castillo's first game of the season was against Detroit, and Turnbull's first game was he played him in that same game, and both pitchers dominated. Both pitchers played extremely well. You never expect things to go the exact same way, especially when it's this close together. Like Paulie said, I would never talk somebody off the Reds. I respect the Reds lineup, and that's the reason I didn't mention Turnbull, even though I actually am kind of high on Turnbull on a regular slate. If he had a good matchup, I'd be all over Turnbull. But I respect the Reds enough to where I don't want to look for lightning to strike twice. Castillo's stuff is on a different level, right? Then Turnbull's in that like high average, kind of slightly above average to average type shit. Castillo is like ace caliber stuff, at least in terms of DFS, what we look for in DFS. So I'm leaning Castillo, not going towards Turnbull. But again, I mean, and it also like gives you reason again to consider like the Castillo thing to have you a little hesitant. I know it's Detroit, but it makes you wonder. Like it's just so rare that a pitcher or a team has the same outcome back to back in back to back situations. So I'll say this last thing about Castillo, even though we weren't talking about him originally. My one thing, like I'm gonna play a decent amount of Castillo, but the reason you don't lock button him is for simply that there's one reason to fake Castillo today or go underweight or whatever you want to do, and it's ownership. It's the one reason, and it's a pretty damn good reason when you consider he's going to be upwards of 50 to 60% on DraftKings. So I'll leave it at that. Joey wants to know favorite one-off bat on FanDuel.
Favorite one off bat. I'll take Freddie Freeman.
Freddie Freebies. Ooh, I like that one, man. Oh, man. So, I mean, I'll say I like the stack, but if I didn't have a full stack of this game or this team, and it's a little obvious, but Tatis is probably my favorite hitter on the Padres. I just love that guy, and he's expensive, and I don't know what his FanDuel price is. I'll go with Tatis. I know it's kind of a cop out. I just love that dude. I really do. I got a man crush on that guy. I'm not afraid to admit it.
You know,
Not afraid.
he's just great.
He's just come on. I mean, I'm not afraid. I'm man enough to say it. I am. Joey agrees with us with the A's as a low on stack. Tony A, no problem. Joey says Akiyama leading off, good cash play. Legalize says thanks fellas. Acuna due to pop off. Yeah, no, I don't disagree. Again, I think it's a good spot for the Braves. I think Porcello's just trash, and the Mets bullpen is really like I do think it's slightly improved, but only at the 7-8-9. It's really only if they're in that position. If they're trailing, their bullpen is just as fucking bad as it was last year, and maybe even worse. You can argue. So that's a little tidbit on the Mets, I'll say. We got about 45 minutes to lock. I know this was a quick show. It's just we're not going to sit here and talk about plays we don't actually like or don't actually plan on playing. So if you guys don't have any questions, we will get out of here. Before we do that, we'll give you guys some time to get some more questions in. And Paulie, we're going to do some dong watch action. So hit me up. Who's your first pick?
I'll take Freddie Freeman.
Freddie Freebie. I like it. I don't think that we don't have to have that Coors rule. I'm not going to pick anyone from Coors, but I don't think it necessarily has to be a rule because if there's a guy you really think's hitting the home run, the nation needs to know. With that said, I think we have enough of the bets that I'll kind of look elsewhere, and I think I will go with Matt Chapman.
All right, I like that.
Yeah.
I'll take Sam Hilliard.
Ooh, I like that one. I like that. It's Coors, but it's not the typical player you'd expect. You know, it's just and I think he's supposed to be good, but I do think he's going to be good. Let me think here. I'm gonna go with Aaron Hicks.
Nice.
Aaron Hicks. Sucking on yours.
I'll take the polar bear.
Pete Alonso. Nice. I actually wrote him as one of my dong hits in the article. I do like that call a lot. I like it a lot. Let's see here. I want to pick another Oakland player. I'm so pissed Chris Davis is out. I was like planning all day to use him in the dong watch. I'll go with Ramon Laureano. I prefer him against lefties, but I just think Walker sucks. And righties have really been tattooing him. It's too small of a sample size for me to even get excited about. But I will go with the A's and kind of back that stance of Oaklandia. I'll check one last time for questions. That was 3, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Let's see. Clint Petrikis says Cole Calhoun homer. That's his dong call, a.k.a. Shockey. Joey. Oh, I'm sorry. I skipped one. Anthony Vaughn. Who should be the pitcher we plug in on FanDuel? We answered that already. Paulie, I think yours was... Who was it? Minor or Webb. For me, it's Darvish or Castillo, but I prefer Darvish on FanDuel. Joey Baldino, Joey Joe says Keuchel or Webb if you're paying. Okay, he was answering that question. Keuchel or Webb if you're paying up for bats. Anthony Vaughn, how about Turnbull? We both discussed that we respect Turnbull. I think it's more that we also respect this Reds lineup and just prefer to go elsewhere.
Yep.
Holla for $1. Nation, please hit that like button if you haven't already. It really helps us out. Really goes a long way in allowing us to do the free content. We like to continue to do these things and talk to you guys. So please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, make sure you hit the notifications bell. We're covering NBA and MLB right now, Monday through Friday. So we will be back at it Monday. We'll continue to have content, projections, cheat sheet, articles, all that good stuff over the weekend at whitestate.com for those who are subscribed. You can get a day pass if you want to try the content out. Otherwise, we highly recommend you signing up for the monthly membership or higher, getting into the Slack, and really learning how to do dirties in the DFS community. But with that said, we're going to get out of here. Clint Petrakis says Taiwan Walker, fuck the world. More like fuck you. But, no, I'm just joking, Clint. You know we love you, Shockey. You know we love you, bro. Russell Skid says Tatis for 2 dongs. I agree. Legalize Castellano revenge. Hey, I could buy into that. I could buy into that a little bit. Anything in closing, Paulie, before we get up out of here?
No, it's been a wild day. Hopefully we get some sweaty sweats up in this bitch. Good night.
That's it. For Paulie D, for myself, the entire Wise Take Nation. Shout out to Clint, aka Shockey. Shout out to Joey. Shout out to the entire Wise Take Nation. We love y'all. We'll see y'all next week. For those subscribed to wisetake.com, we'll see you in the Slack. We'll catch you over the weekend. And as always, good luck.
Yeah.